Hello and welcome to the KC Basketball Stadium. Melbourne United taking on the Brisbane Bullets. NBL preseason action. It all kicks off. Of course, Melbourne United got so close last season and couldn't get it done against the Jack Jumpers, who prevailed the champions. The Brisbane Bullets, well, they've got a bit more to prove this year. Second year into the Justin Schuller experiment. He's a great coach and maybe a bit biased because I've had him before, but they've got some great players on the roster, and hopefully they can bring something this year and be one of the surprise packets of the league. I'm Felix von Hoff. I'm joined by superstar Alice Kunek. Welcome in.
Thank you, Felix. It's so great to be here. I can't believe NBL's back already. Where's the off-season gone?
I know. Well, for those that work on an invoice basis, it's always great to have it roll around as quick as possible. But it is funny in basketball. It's so quick. You know, the off-seasons are so short, but you can't really go on a 2-month holiday and then come back. You know more so than me. It's just tough to keep that skill set, the fitness and everything. So maybe it's a good thing for the state of the league that it is quite a quick turnaround.
Yeah, it is, definitely. But, you know, look, the off-season was great. I enjoyed watching Gazy coach you and losing his mind up and down that floor. And honestly, shout out to Andrew Gaze. That was the highlight of my off-season. But looking forward to have NBL back, and, you know, what's going to be a great game here tonight. Obviously, both teams have a lot to prove. You know, Brisbane missing out on the playoffs, and then Melbourne United with that bitter disappointment of losing to Jack Jumpers.
Well, it certainly is. And the Brisbane Bullets, they're without Casey Prather, who isn't in attendance tonight at this one. And of course, Josh Bannon also with a cast on the wrist. How much do we read into that one, Alice? You know, I went over and tried to get a little bit of info out of him, but as he said, I'll be fine, which is always the politically correct answer.
Yeah, mine was fine too, and I broke my wrist and had, you know, 11 screws and a plate. I'll be fine.
That's always
but we
the
hope
answer.
we'll see him back. He had a great season last season. You know, he was in the summer league last year with this year with the LA Clippers, and you know, he's a great piece for this team. And obviously with losing Nathan Sobey, Brisbane will really be looking to him to improve, to pick up that scoring role and play a really good role this year for them this season.
We'll touch on the loss of Nathan Sobey in a minute before we tip this one off, because it is big, a game for the South East Melbourne Phoenix. But of course, Melbourne United, without their superstars Ian Clark, Chris Golding, Dellavedova, will not be taking place in this one, of course. Marcus Lee as well, back making his way to Melbourne United, will not be taking part in tonight's game. Now, get your thoughts on this one early. I know that it's pre-season, it's early days, but we don't exactly have an NBL-style season. It's not 82 games. I reckon we could see him in action a little bit earlier.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I think Melbourne United have a lot to prove. This season, probably more so to themselves than anything else. So I think we're really going to see improved Melbourne United this season. I feel like they're going to be more tenacious on the defensive end. I'm sure Vickerman will be pacing that sideline just like Gazy was. But, you know, I think it's going to be a great hit out. You know, both the same coaching styles in Schuller and Vickerman. I think Melbourne United might get on top tonight. Is it too early for a prediction?
No, it's never too early for a prediction. I think Brisbane, with what they've got, I'm going to side the opposite way here and say that Brisbane might just have the edge here based on who we see taking part here. But Brisbane will win the opening tip, and Bateman, of course, how important it is for some of these imports to get, especially guys that we haven't quite seen before, to be able to get out there and show what they can do, because the pressure cooker comes on in NBL media and general sports media very, very quickly if they have a subpar performance off the bat.
It definitely does, and I know that Schuller was really excited to get James Bateman into this team. You know, he said...
Dang it, Dell just fouled at the rim. Now, that is a guy who he could be the X factor, because he sort of fell off the map a little bit. We saw him in the NBL with the Illawarra Hawks, and it was nothing special, to say the least. He was a guy that came with high-level D1 Louisville experience, NBA experience, and then came into the NBL on high praise and high salary. And to say he underperformed is probably an understatement. And from what we've seen in the preseason so far, he's been fantastic. Schuller's excited. The Brisbane coaching staff is excited. And if he can put a few of these good preseason games together, I'm sure that little hype train will start to build.
Absolutely, and you know, he has got off to a good start. I'm sure that's great for his confidence. And you know, when you've been out of the game for so long, sometimes it is just your confidence, and seeing the ball go through the game and just stringing a few games together will really be great for his confidence. But you know, Schuller's named him the X factor for this team, and I definitely think he can be.
Shea Illy tries to go coast to coast. And the referee's also warming up at the moment, so they're going to get those whistles. Get them going as well. It's a warm-up for everyone at this stage of the NBL season. Of course, a couple of teams have already gone through a few preseason hit-outs. Of course, the Brisbane Bullets coming up against the Shanghai Sharks.
Winners. Now we see Shaylee at the foul line, and obviously they had that Olympic tournament in Greece for the qualifying tournament. Now he shot 80% from the three-point line. We know Shaylee isn't really, you know, the lights-out three-point shooter, but 80% from the three-point line. It's great to see him get on the board early here tonight, and I think he's going to have a great season for Melbourne United.
It's amazing how important Shaylee is for a roster that is so deep in offensive talent. When he's hitting his shots on the offensive end, we know he's a defensive monster, but when he's hitting, it turns his team into a much different beast.
Yeah.
And Smith-Milner takes up the point guard duties, gets hassled for it. Of course, Jack White,
on cue,
who's back from the Denver Nuggets in his NBA experience, takes it direct into the rack and gets that one through the chest of Smith-Milner.
Now we know Jack White is obviously back from the NBA, and he missed out on that Boomers team this year. So I think, you know, with the loss of Travers this year and down a few bigs in Cordy and JLA, I reckon Jack White's going to have a great season. They're going to need him to have a great season.
He certainly wants to get back into all NBL form here as the defense from Melbourne United. A bit too much in the backcourt there for the Bullets. Krebs gets that one to fall from the corner. And Melbourne United looking to start this one off with a point to prove.
You know, and Krebs was able to get open just then just by a great screen from the big. The defense was trailing him, and he was able to get that three-point shot. That's great for him to see that go down.
Smith-Milner, Adele, again attacks deep into the paint. Can't get the foul there. White will clean it up. Ellie, again, just taking some an aggressive move early from Ellie, and you can see right now he's going to play that leadership role on the floor, and we're seeing the same thing, 2 back-to-back turnovers now from Dang Adele, whose praises we sung only a moment ago. White dared to shoot the three. Ellie just to slow down proceedings. Finds Rob Lowe, who was an injury replacement last year. They went 7-1 while he was in the team, so you can see that Ian Vickerman was desperate to get him back into the lineup on a full-time basis this season.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's New Zealand. He's obviously been coached by Vickerman for a lot of years. He's a strong player. He's smart. He knows the game really well. And I think, you know, Melbourne down the stretch missed him. They missed his experience. They missed his ability to stretch the floor. He's a great three-point shooter. He's played with Illy a lot, obviously in New Zealand. So I think having him in this team will be really beneficial.
Keandre Cook gets his first shot for the Bullets to fall, and Jack White goes upstairs. That's what we've missed. One of the most athletic players in the NBL makes his return from the United States and does it in emphatic fashion.
Now we see Smith-Milner hedging out on that defensive possession there. You know, they're going to have to make an adjustment, or else that defense is going to have to come across early to stop the likes of Jack White just going downhill and getting a two-handed flush.
Your thoughts on Dean Vickerman not being listed in the Coach of the Year?
Wrong, very wrong.
Amazing. Now it's tough for us to talk because neither of us voted for him.
Am I allowed to say this?
But I thought that you would probably get someone that would have at least listed him in that. But sometimes, you know, you get used to, we're so used to Melbourne United being up there every year that we sort of always want that surprise packet. You know, Justin Tatum is the sexier story of the two. Adele.
Look, Vickerman.
Aggressive early. Harrison looks to go on Rob Lowe. Can't find the matchup. From outside, can't get that to fall. And Brisbane just getting stifled a little bit on offense at the moment by the United defense. Yeah,
there's that tenacious defense by Shea Ellie. And if they can get stops and they can run the floor, it's going to be great for their offensive movement. They don't have to play that half-court grind basketball. They can play free-flowing basketball, and that's what we like to see as watchers of the game.
Keandre Cook has played around the G League in Europe, and Shula really excited for him to join the group. He's said to have a great work ethic, great character, and bring a wealth of experience, and expected to make an impact on both ends of the floor for this Brisbane Bullets lineup.
We know how hard it is for imports to come in this league, though, Felix, and I really hope that he settles in really quickly because this team needs it.
2 for 2 for Tanner Krebs. A guy that's had a great season in the NBL1, of course had a great finish to the year with Melbourne, especially in a couple of the home and away games. St Mary's product, we always know that they're more than capable of fitting into any type of offense, those guys.
Absolutely, and that was a great play by Melbourne United. They ran that Spanish action play. So they come off the pick and roll, the player rolls down, so the big man in Rob Lowe, they've got to go to him. That leaves Tanner Krebs wide open for that three-point shot, and he just knocks it down with confidence.
Well, Tanner Krebs, one of the guys that's going to be really fighting, along with a guy like Kyle Bowen, really fighting to have this as their breakout year. And even Flynn Cameron who we see into the game now. They're guys that, if you're Melbourne, you really want them to take another step forward this year. Now, it's always a lot harder to do that in a roster that's so deep and as talented as Melbourne. But you know what? If you can hit the outside shot, it's a good way to start.
Definitely, and Vickerman needs to trust you on the floor. Coaches need to trust their players. Players, want to trust their coaches as well. So, this is a great sign for Tanner Krebs, and we saw some really good glimpses of him during the season last year. Obviously, he came from Brisbane. Now this is his second year here. He's had a whole nother year in Melbourne, got used to the cold weather. Soon the warm weather's coming. And yeah, if he can really be that role player and hit those shots when needed, I'm sure that Dean Vickerman's going to play him a lot more.
Still no early sighting of Rocco Zikarsky. When we talk about guys that are going to take a jump, he's probably one of those guys that is going to have one of the bigger jumps out of any players in the league, just based on how young he still is.
Yeah, and he spent some time with the young Boomers. They had a series against Japan, and then he spent some time with the Boomers, obviously in that Melbourne series and in the training. And it's really exciting to see him, put on some size and then really take it to the next level.
Harrison with a great pass to Adele down low, who's really found his way on a couple of cuts early there. A guy that's been known for, being a little bit out of control sometimes on the penetration. It's nice to see him find buckets another way.
And Harrison is so underrated as a passer, and I think that he can really help this team in his passing ability. Nice take. Oh, nice defense. Shaili
gets it in, kicks it out. Rob Lowe can't get that one to fall, but again, he's played for long enough and done that for long enough where Dean Vickerman's not going to be too worried in a preseason game.
You've got to keep shooting. If they're not up, they're not in, Felix.
Harrison again doesn't elect to pass that one. Goes for the floater himself and gets it to fall. 3-point lead to Melbourne United. 6 to go in the first quarter. Jack White likes the matchup, decides against it. Flynn Cameron into the paint, back out to Lowe, and hands in the lane.
I think if Rob Lowe had made that first one, he probably would have shot that second one. It's good to see that they're looking for the extra pass. They're playing that selfless Melbourne United basketball, and that's what we like to see, and that's what's going to win championships.
Well, sometimes you can find with a team that's so loaded with superstars and the emphasis is so much on pass, 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 you can overpass the ball a little bit, especially in the early stage of the season.
Yeah. Now, we've just seen Akish Alir check into the game.
Flynn Cameron, one to forget from outside.
Yeah, definitely.
And the Tom Brady-esque pass for Harrison to throw it down. And Harrison having a nice little start to his campaign. Cameron gets in the middle off the pick and roll, gets it to Alir, who gets right down the bottom. We saw that all year for Mount Gambier, and he's a guy that there is a roster spot still available for this Melbourne United team, and the word coming out of the camps is that it could potentially be a development player upgraded to take that spot. The import spot's available, but it looks like it could be one of these development guys that takes the step. So plenty to play for in Casey tonight. Dangadell straight to the rack. Gets it to go and one. And the Dangadell of old across a couple of preseason games appears to be rearing his head.
Yeah, that was a great take, and that's just something the United need to do better at. Attacking that. He attacked that closeout. He attacked that foot. He was able to drive to the middle and finish hard on that layup there. So great take by him. Another step forward for his confidence.
This is great to see if you're a Brisbane Bullets fan, because the Dangadell that we saw at the Illawarra Hawks, he was timid. He was really looking to just focus on shots from the outside. Was he carrying an injury? We don't know. But what we're seeing right now would be salivating for a Brisbane Bullets fan.
Absolutely.
Foxwell with the point guard duties. Of course, just a new acquisition there. His brother playing at South East Melbourne. From the corner, can't get that to fall. Jack White hunting the board.
Jack White's going to be huge this season for them, attacking those offensive rebounds.
Bateman finds his way into the paint. Norton ends up with it.
I love the hand pressure from Melbourne United. They're deflecting, they're up, they're in, they're getting after everything. They're making it difficult. It looks like the court is stifled. There's no free lane here.
$14 points apiece, a little under 5 minutes to go. Zikarsky enters the game for a season that could end with him joining the NBA. Of course, such a young talent, such a raw talent. Norton gets all the way in.
Great take by Mitch Norton. He was able to split that defense, and he was able to go on the back of that defender and attack the rim and finish with a nice poise.
Aliir up top. Back to Cameron, who's been working off these little left-hand on-balls. Uses his body and gets into the paint and just too strong.
Great finish there. I'd like to see Brisbane, you know, really stop that defensive downhill drive from Melbourne United, but Melbourne United are doing a great job of it.
Gets it out to Bairstow. Norton again. Brisbane just doing a good job of attacking in the paint.
Absolutely. Dean Bickerman will not be happy with that.
6 minutes into this quarter and 16-18. The Brisbane Bullets take the lead, and the vast majority of that has been done inside the paint.
Is Mitch Norton just the guy you want on your team? Don't we just all love Mitch Norton? The way he plays the game, he's selfless, he's a great leader. You know, defensively, he's tenacious, he's up, he's in. And when he's needed, he scores. You know, he had a great off-season with the Spartans in Brisbane. He's a new-time dad. He's enjoying life. He looks like he's loving it up in Brisbane. It
was quite a shock that the Perth Wildcats certainly weren't sitting in that camp. They were, you know, of course, new coaches come in and they want to stamp their authority. And there was, you know, the Perth Wildcats had, for all intents and purposes, a pretty good season. So you can't really point the finger there, but it is great to see Mitch getting a defined role within this team, because he's been a real stalwart of the league for a while now.
Absolutely.
Not to be mixed up with Mitch McCarron, which I've been guilty of on numerous occasions.
They do play very similar.
Two just nuggety little point guards where you say you always got to do a double check. Is that McCarron or is it Norton?
Very similar players and both great guys.
Your early takes, you're way too early takes 6 minutes into the ballgame.
Ooh, way too early. Look, it's a pretty even contest so far. Both teams, you know, bit of nerves. This is Melbourne United's first preseason game. Obviously, Brisbane had played a game against Shanghai. You know, I like the way both teams are really attacking the paint. They're really getting downhill. Like to see a little bit more, you know, offensive flow, but maybe the teams are really hiding what they're going to have for the season. I'm not too sure. You can see Melbourne United playing
great little pass there as Foxwell gets into the paint with a strong finish.
So Melbourne United playing that splits action, so they're playing out of the high post, and that point guard is reading. It's a great take. Oh.
Zakarsky just a little too strong on that one, and that's where that development comes with being out there in the court. You learn, okay, well, maybe that's a Euro step opportunity.
I like that he's taken it, though. I like that he's been aggressive. You know, maybe we saw him last year, he fumbled the ball maybe a little bit, or he was pushed off his line, but I like to see him aggressive to start this game.
The tough thing for these guys as well is because, you know, you can say you're not worried about it, but you know that the scouts are watching as well.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's always just an amazing one that these guys are still able to perform under that pressure. The big block from Zakarsky there.
You know, his presence inside is just so great for this team and something that they can really look to exploit. And if he can just stay out of foul trouble this season, he's going to be great for this team, especially with Tyrell Harrison.
The twin towers of the Brisbane Bullets in Harrison and Zakarsky. Aliir can't quite get past him there. Foxwell penetrates. Another strong finish.
Melbourne United just seem to get downhill a little bit too easily, so I think Brisbane and Schuler are going to have to change a little bit of their defense there on the pick and roll.
Norton.
Both teams are playing out of this split action. They're getting it to the big and the high post, and they're playing off them.
The circus.
The preseason circus.
That had preseason written all over it right there.
The preseason circus. You are excused.
And you look at Foxwell. Just two really strong finishes, and of course a young fella, not gifted with that too much size there. Not scared of Zakarsky right there in the middle. It's good signs. Comes
from a very talented family. His brother's playing for Southeast Melbourne. He's had a great season with Eltham, so it's good to see this next generation coming through and playing confidently and aggressively.
Melbourne United snake back the lead as the Bullets looking to continue their success getting to the rim, which has been all their prowess so far. Norton pulls up, can't get it to fall. Kyle Bowen, another player we spoke about potentially having a breakout year, and Shea Ili just continues his aggressive run towards the rim. Hasn't eventuated in too much success so far. Kyle Savage into the game for the Bullets.
Getting back to Kyle Bowen, he had a great season in the NBL1. He played with Knox and he was the national champion and won the MVP. So, like you said, I know Melbourne United will be looking to see him have a really great season this year and take that next step.
Zakarsky barely has to lift himself off the ground to get that one. And that's the stuff when you're a point guard, to be able to get in the lane and have that knowledge that he's right there to clean this up. You could be a little bit riskier.
Yeah.
Right there, Aaliyah on the outside.
Once they get that timing, you know, with that lob pass, it's going to be pretty hard to stop.
All good from downtown from Aaliyah, who we spoke about it. There is a roster spot on offer for this Melbourne United team. Smith Milner, that's how he gets his work done. Unemployed on that one.
He really has the ability to stretch the floor for this team, and that really opens up the driving lanes for those point guards to get downhill. And we know that Schuler likes to get downhill with his guards, so that really stretches the floor, and I think that was something they were missing last season.
Certainly was, and of course, life without Nathan Sobey this year for the Bullets, and it didn't seem the friendliest of exits as well, with a couple of comments said on social media. No love lost with his departure as well. Bairstow from outside, can't get that to fall. And the Bullets, they've just slowed down a little bit.
Great transition layup, run the floor. That's easy basketball. That's the way you want to play. Get defensive stops, run the floor.
Machar throws that one down on the fast break.
Now, the loss of Sobey is a big one. And do you think that Brisbane can fill this hole with the roster that they've got?
Well, it's going to be tough. You're going to need a guy like Dangadell to really lift. And what we've seen so far is really good. As Smith Milner, the catch and release. Can't get it to fall. Machar comes down with the board. They're going to need a lot of guys to really step up, because they haven't really replaced that player with anything of the like. So they're going to need a big year from Dangadell, as Shea Ely proves just how potent he is. And as we said, when he can provide that threat as well,
absolutely,
those plus-minus columns for Melbourne United when he's hitting the mid-range shot is really, really promising. Norton just slows it down. 19 seconds on the clock. 11 on the shot clock, a 3-second differential. Gets it back out to Smith Milner, who's been trigger happy. Third time lucky. Doesn't fall. 4 on the clock.
It's a great
outlet. The quarterback pass there from Shea Ely is no good, and we got 1.8 left.
Now, it didn't pull off, but I love the intent. I love that Bowen's run the floor, they've got the rebound, and you can tell that they've made that an emphasis to, when they get stops, to run the floor.
Well, it's the little things in Melbourne that you see Dean Vickerman always presses, because sometimes on a superstar team, they're the ones that can get lost, and you get stuck in this sort of isolation play. Illy with the rebound, 1.8 on the clock. Bowen goes baseline, can't get it to go. Zakarski with a bit of good last-second pressure at the rim. And Melbourne United down 2 with about 4 minutes to go. Now have a 27 to 20 point lead as we head into the quarter-time break. Alice Kunak, your thoughts, queries, concerns, and way too early evaluations. Which of these teams are you completely writing off from finals contention?
Oh, I'm not writing off anyone yet. Oh, finals contention. I'm still not sold on Brisbane. I think Melbourne United will be in the finals this season. Sorry, Brisbane. Hopefully I'm not going to get in trouble for that. But on, giving up 27 in a quarter, obviously second game of pre-season, a lot of teething issues, a lot of things to really iron out. That's what you have pre-season for. But I can't imagine that Justin Schuler would be too happy with giving up 27 points in a quarter of basketball. But we have seen some good offensive signs from them. They are missing a lot. They are missing Casey Prather. They've got to find their way without Sobey. It is a new team. So I'm sure that they're going to be okay.
Well, it is a big one to adjust from life after Sobey, because Sobey was a guy that was, he was playing in almost MVP contention at the beginning of the season, but he was a very high shot dominant guy. So there's a lot of shots on the floor now. Where do you find out? Where do they go? And, you've got new guys coming in and new imports. You've got Dangadell finally starting to show a bit of what we knew all along that he could provide, given the right situation, given the right coaching. So a lot of teething time for Brisbane, and they've got the pieces. Look, it is a team. It's probably the easy for a lot of the experts that have come out and said Brisbane were the wooden spoon prediction for a lot of people. Now, it's probably the easy one to go for, because
nice for that one. I think I was nice on that one, Brisbane.
Yeah, because there's a lot of change, and it's always very, very hard, because we see with teams that are successful in the NBL, a la the Perth Wildcats and Melbourne United to an extent, it's keeping those same rosters around. The Jack Jumpers have done a really good job of it. If you can string 3-4 years with the same coach, same group together, you can usually have a little bit of success, even with a roster that may not be as exciting as a few other teams.
And that's what Dean Vickerman said, that he's got 13 out of 14 players that have played together. He calls it his United superpower, and it is a superpower. United may not have the best roster on paper this season, but I think it is a superpower that they know what Dean Vickerman does. They know his style of coaching. They've all played together. They all respect each other, and I think that's huge. When seasons are long, they aren't won in the first round. So I think that's going to be a real superpower for United, and I'm excited to see how they go this season.
Jordan Tata into the game for Melbourne United. Goes upstairs, can't get him to fall, but he's a big boy. Look at the size of Tyrell Harrison as he takes that one coast to coast. Just gets a little too fancy with it at the rim.
Probably should have taken that one himself, but...
And that's that unselfish pre-season play. Once all the chocolates are on the line in the season, I reckon the big fella goes up with that. Jack White.
There's another one of our unselfish play. I think Jack White could have taken that one there. He got himself in the right position. Great pass by Flynn Cameron. Probably could have taken that one extra step and made the layup. You
do find the turnovers are a little bit higher in the preseason based around that. Okay, players just getting used to each other and getting used to another year. And also, everyone's happy to be unselfish when there's not too much on the line. There's a great pass there.
Nice pass.
From Cook finds Harrison, who I believe is now the most tenured Brisbane Bullets player on this roster. He's been dealt some cruel injuries along the way, and we haven't quite been able to see him in as many games as we'd like, but he's certainly been there for a long, long time. Jack White, a great pass there to Machara. Gets it blocked. Tata with the rebound. Can't get that to fall. And Melbourne United just fighting like dogs at the rim. Cameron. Illy, my mistake.
Oh, that was a bit of a circus, but...
That's as we said, that had pre-season written all over it.
Now Cook just attacked the baseline there. Now we do know he's a shooter, and all I've seen is him go and attack the rim. So, maybe he does have a few more strings to his bow, but I'm excited to see him this season and see him come off a few stagger screens and see how he can help this team.
Certainly nervous times. We were in import in the early going. We saw Adelaide pull the trigger on someone going home. I don't think we're going to see that from Brisbane.
That was a nice play there.
Cook can't get that one to fall. Falls over in transition, and luckily for Brisbane, the circus on offense continues for yet another possession there for Melbourne United.
We do see the same occurring theme here for Melbourne United. They are trying to run the floor. We can see that. Now it's going to be them taking that next step. Okay, poise, composure, still running the floor, but can I make that pass? No? All right, let's flow into some second side offense.
Well, Brisbane, of course, struggled a little bit in transition last year, so there's never too much scouting that comes into the preseason games, but maybe just a little bit of gamesmanship here from Vickerman against his former assistant. It's Tyrell Harrison with a strong move on Jordan Tata.
That was a great play by Brisbane Bullets. Obviously, that cross screen gets that big man open, and Tyrell Harrison goes to work with that strong move.
Tata points Machar. We got a lot of R's. Some good movement here from United. Just once again found themselves in that same spot in the key, and once again another turnover. Kyle Savage gets that one to go and throws it down on the head of Flynn Cameron. Kyle Savage.
Now I heard that Kyle Savage was Justin Shaw's big target in the off-season. He thinks that he signed him on a 3-year deal as a development player. He's been super impressed with him, and he believes that he can really compete and play at this level, as we've just seen.
We might have just had our view just blocked a little bit there, but we see a bit. Kyle Savage just takes it. Could have picked up the foul there, but the ref lets it go. Was it a dunk? Maybe. Was it close enough? Yes, and we're going to claim it was one.
Oh, we'll give him that.
We'll give him that. But right now, Melbourne United have started this second term. A 6-0 run to the Brisbane Bullets. And Dean Vickerman would not be happy with what he's seeing on both ends of the floor.
I just think Melbourne United need to stay composed. They've had some really good looks, but it just feels like that key is really congested. They've got a lot of people in that key. They need to learn to space the floor. Now we see Harrison go up for the same play. Let's see if he can make another strong move here. Attack the defense.
Harrison using all of his body on that one. Proving himself on the low block. An 8-0 run to start this second term for the Brisbane Bullets.
And that's what Brisbane need. They need him to be aggressive. They need him to really demand the ball inside the post for them to be successful.
Aaliyah can't stem the bleeding, but Shea Ely just proving that leadership on the floor. Coming up with a loose ball. Flynn Cameron finds Kingsley Box on the outside. Not the desired result.
Bit of nerves, bit of preseason circus nerves, but that's all right.
Well, again, especially the young guys. Kingsley Box is a guy that's not signed to a roster yet or a development contract, so he is looking for that. Smith Milner can't get it to go upstairs.
He's had some good looks. You know, they're running plays for him to shoot that ball, and as a shooter, you do just have to see one go down. But, you know, maybe that next step is up faking, attacking the rim, getting other teammates open.
White again gets into that low block, gets it out to Illy. Can't get that to fall. And the Brisbane Bullets are out again. Dingadell in transition. Looked to have been tripped, and he has been. And he's going to go to the free throw line. The Brisbane Bullets just all over Melbourne United at the moment. Now, they've had their fair share of attempts on the other end. A few offensive rebound, a couple of air balls. What can go wrong will go wrong at the moment.
Just seems a little bit congested there for Melbourne United. Obviously now they're making a lot of subs. You know, Tom Wilson's coming in, Coppin's coming in. So a lot of these guys that potentially are looking for that roster spot. But I think they just need to stay composed, run simple offense and really spread that floor. And on the defensive end, they've got to get back in defensive transition. Certainly
is a tough dynamic. You look on the floor right now. No stalwarts that we're used to seeing for Melbourne United. So you can't really read too much into it from a season perspective. But it is good to see these young guys get a run. Of course, Kingsley Box, Tom Wilson looking to make their way. Tom Wilson, of course, onto a roster. Kingsley Box, a couple of options available. Adele converts. Tom Coppins, we didn't see too much from last year for Melbourne, and you can see right now we got 5 guys that are just trying to work each other out on the offensive end.
I was trying to work out who was going to be the point guard. Yeah. It took me a little bit to work that one out.
I wouldn't say Tom Coppins is your regular point guard on this one. Great inbounds there. Tom Wilson finds it again. Just stem the bleeding a touch there. A 1-point lead for the Brisbane Bullets, almost at the halfway point of the second quarter. Bairstow. Harrison, he's been impressive so far.
They've got away with 2 steps there.
Haven't quite seen the best of Bateman in the early going here. Tries to find the wraparound pass, can't get it to go. The ref's seen a little too much.
It just seems like Brisbane are a little bit better with Mitch Norton on the floor. Mitch Norton knows this team, he knows Schuler. Bateman's obviously going to take some time to just, you know, work his way out with this team and this coach, but we know he can be a dynamic scorer and we know that they need that from him, but it might just take him a little bit of time, and you know, luckily they've got the likes of Mitch Norton to really help the team out.
Harrison, Bateman has had no trouble getting into the paint. Just hasn't had too much success when he's gotten in there. Bairstow works on Coppins, uses his body, comes up with a hook, can't get it to go. And Wilson gives Melbourne United a chance to take back the lead after a 10-0 run for the Bullets to start this second quarter. Wilson from outside. The scoring has dried up.
Now you see Brisbane going underneath that screen. I'd like to see him be composed and just get a re-screen.
Harrison loves this matchup with Aaliyah. Can't get that to go. And Wilson is out. Box. Finds Coppins up top. Sweet little backdoor pass. The good hands there from Bateman, who's going to check out.
They're running some nice offense, Melbourne United. You know, they're running that first side, second side. They're using the high post, and they're obviously just feeling each other out and just learning, you know, how to play with one another. But they're making some good reads, and that's what, as a coach, is really promising to see the team making those reads that you're probably teaching every single day in the preseason.
Coppins, aggressive move into the paint, doesn't have the desired effect, and Dingadell again aggressive through the paint. Gets that to fall, and we are seeing the best of Dingadell early here.
That was a nice Euro step by Dingadell, who was obviously super aggressive, had his head up early, was able to finish with confidence.
Santa Krebs back into the game for Melbourne. Finds Wilson on the outside, turns down the shot. And this is where Tom Wilson is at his best, calling for the high on ball. He's a scoring point guard. Looks to get to the step back over the high Tyrell Harrison.
It's impressive though, playing basketball, going to footy and then coming back to basketball. I am very impressed by Tom Wilson.
It is quite amazing, and look, he came into the NBL one season with the Melbourne Tigers off virtually 2 months of sorted basketball training, you know, not a huge amount. He just finished playing AFL level. And he came back in and he was the star of the team.
Yeah, he was very
so it is
impressive.
some guys have just got it ingrained in them to be an athlete. He's a really smart decision maker. I think throughout the year he definitely got a little bit more under control. When he started, it was just, you could see a couple of those quick decision making aspects of the game had to come back to him. But you know, the Tom Wilson that we saw towards the end of the season was impressive, and in my opinion, in my humble opinion, Alice, was worthy of an NBL roster spot.
Absolutely. You know, he's a talented guy, he's a great human, and he's a great athlete. And, you know, that's the makings of a great player.
Dean Vickerman just holding off. He's brought Rob Lowe back onto the floor, but just holding back a few of the veterans to let these young fellas sort it out on the offensive end. Zakarski back into the game for the Bullets. Just the errant pass, ticked off by Tanner Krebs. And Wilson, he's never gun shy. And Rob Lowe, even the veteran, can't get it to fall, and just nightmare stuff on the offensive end. And this is where Dengadell is at his best. Another transition lane for Dengadell, who looks to, as we've said it before, found the best version of himself.
He's been really impressive. He hasn't been nervous to attack the ring, and I think that's what's really going to help this Brisbane team. He obviously looks really confident, and that's what this team needs. It's a great pass.
Plenty of points on the board since Sobey's out of here. Zakarski with a smart kick out of Dell. Tries from outside this time, can't get it to fall. Melbourne United still looking to find something that'll work for them with this lineup on the offensive end. There's Tanner Krebs, he wants the foul, the ref disagrees.
Now on for Brisbane as well is Josh Coonan, who's a rookie development player. He's been elevated to a main roster spot. He's a really hard worker. He spent 5 seasons in the University of San Francisco. He was at the COE. He's 6'8", he's long. He can really stretch the floor for this team. He's
added a lot to his frame as well. He played for Justin Schuller for the Kilsyth Cobras in the NBL1 early on. So a lot of the guys that Justin Schuller's brought within the fold of the Brisbane Bullets, like Isaac White, are guys that have had experience, whether it be on junior national teams, NBL1 teams, even Towie Smith-Milner played on that Kilsyth Cobras team. He's brought guys in that he knows, and they know what he expects. And it's always good to come into a team. You saw Isaac White have some good performances playing under a coach that he knows trusts him.
Absolutely, and they obviously respect him, and he obviously respects them, and that is just, you know, a number one thing for a coach and a player, to have the respect of your coach and conversely give that back to him. But you know, obviously they love playing for him, and they respect him. They play hard for him, and I think it's a really special thing.
I've just found out it's Kai Savage, not Kyle Savage as well. A typo.
Sorry, Kai. We will get it right, because I think we'll be seeing a lot more of you in the NBL season.
Certainly looks like an exciting player.
Now we're just seeing Mitch Norton come off. He's got a little bit of an ankle tweak, it looks like. Hopefully we'll see him back on the court really soon.
It looks to be just a slight, certainly no medico, but a slight rolled ankle there for Mitch Norton, who is tough as nails. So it's tough for these guys to work out whether they're seriously hurt or whether he's just carrying a little one. But it looks like he's going to be fine. Will probably take more part in this game as Illy takes control, gets into the paint.
Now we see that same play from Melbourne United, that Spanish pick and roll. Brisbane defended that a lot better this time, but you know, I think that's going to be a real weapon for Melbourne United this season, because they do have lights out shooters. Chris Goulding, Ian Clark.
It's certainly a much different play when you've got Goulding, Ian Clark and Marcus Lee on the floor as Bateman with a much needed bucket.
Now as an import, to see that go down, that is just a world for your confidence, and I'm sure he's thrilled to see that shot go down.
Cameron has found his way into the paint, and he's going to go to the line for 2. Another guy that's just been not stifled, but we haven't quite seen the best of him, purely just how stacked this Melbourne United roster is. There's so many guys, you know, on some of the really top-tier teams where you'd like to see them in an environment where they could just do a little more. And that time will come, and they're much better for the opportunity of being able to play day in, day out against these great players. But maybe selfishly, I just want to see them in an environment where they've got, you know, maybe they're the second string rather than being the third string.
For sure, and I mean, you know, he had a great off-season in the NBL, in the New Zealand NBL under Sam McKinnon, and you know, he's playing for a team like Melbourne United, you know, and that's the payoff that you have. You go play for a team where maybe you're going to be the star of the show, but you're not up for winning championships. Or do you learn under Vickerman? Do you learn under Chris Goulding, Daly, Shea Illy, all those types of guys? I mean, I know for me in my career, I loved learning and not maybe playing as many minutes, but reaping the rewards on the other end of the floor.
Yeah.
Now we see Melbourne United go into that zone.
Ban it.
Yeah, get rid of it.
Ban it in the preseason.
Get rid of it altogether. Nice shot there by Deng Adel, and you know he was able to capitalise on them playing that zone. I don't think we see that zone anymore, Felix.
No,
hopefully not.
It's usually a quick fire way to get them out of it there. The 9-point lead has opened up for the Brisbane Bullets. And Rob Lowe, it's going to be interesting to see just the type of role that Rob Lowe plays for this Melbourne United group.
He is such a worldly player. He's played around the world. He knows Vickerman's style of playing. He's solid. He stretches the floor for this team. He's a great guy. You know what, they were 7-1 when they had him last year, and I'm sure they really missed him towards the stretch. But, you know, I think he's really going to help this team if they can stretch the floor, and it adds that ability to get downhill for their guards.
Shea Illy with 6 seconds on the shot clock. Just gets Kai Savage with a small little ankle breaker, and there we go. That's going to be a combo you'd expect you'd see a little bit this season.
I like the intent from Melbourne United. They're really attacking the offensive rebounds, getting those cheap points. That's what you need. That's what, as a coach, you want to see your players doing.
Timeout here, an 8-point lead with a little over a minute to go for the Brisbane Bullets, who have really turned this game on its head in this second quarter. And do not forget, the NBL season is almost here, and tickets to every Melbourne United home game are on sale now. Melbourne United's first home game on October 6th at John Cain Arena, and tickets are already selling fast. You can head to ticketek.com.au to get yours. The turnaround here for the Bullets. Are we reading much into Brisbane on this one, or are we reading more into the lineups that Melbourne United have put on the floor? Now, credit to Brisbane, of course, no Casey Prather here today, no Josh Bannon, who appears to be taped up around the wrist. We're not sure the severity of that injury, but he came into it with it.
Look, credit where credit's due. They've turned this game around. You know, they've got an 8-point lead, about to head into the half. I still don't think United's playing their best basketball, and you know they are testing a lot of guys. They do have that roster spot still available. Ian Clark's not playing CG, Daly, Marcus Lee. That's 4 huge names that aren't playing. You know, it's early days for both teams. You know, and I made my predictions. I'm going to stand by them, but you know, I think that United won't be happy with their performance so far. Obviously, there is the teething issues that you're going to kink out during the season, but I think it's more the intent that Dean Vickerman would more so be annoyed at.
What is it, of course? Major players out for both of these lineups, and a roster spot on offer for Melbourne United, who we are hearing could be an upgrade on a DP spot. You guys will be fighting for that as Rob Lowe converts the first. And it's always, you know, these preseason games move around. You know, sometimes you have them in regional areas, and the KC Basketball Association has done a great job. And of course, you know, it's a great product that's on the floor, but of consistently packing these out across all of these preseason games. Yeah,
and I played for Casey this season in the NBL1, and they're a great club, and you know, it's such a great community down here in Casey, and full credit to what they've done with this association and the people behind the scenes. So, you know, it's a great club, and I think they're just going to go from strength to strength.
Bateman on the outside, kick out from Deng Adel, can't get to fall, and Shea Illy aggressive and taking it down the floor the entire game so far. And this is where it seems to have fallen apart for Melbourne United quite a few times, Alice, is these little enclosed teething passes.
Yeah, and it's obviously just everyone getting a little bit excited. Everyone wants to make that Hail Mary pass, but it's early days. You know, they're still trying to work out, are you cutting, am I driving? And, you know, I'm sure he wishes he could get that one back, but you know, they're just going to take time. But this is in the preseason where you just have to play simple basketball. You've got to execute, you've got to learn to play together, and you've got to learn to do the simple things. Then once the season starts and you get more confident, that's when you can start making those all-world passes and doing the trick shot stuff. But, you know, I think for Melbourne United, they've just got to keep things simple, make the simple pass, and things will really flow on from there.
Kai Savage, 2 for 2 from the line, as Alice said earlier. He signed a 3-year deal with the Bullets, signing on as a development player, and Schuler super impressed out of the COE. Just another young talent coming out of this country. We are spoiled.
Now, Melbourne United just ran like a little bit of a ghost play here. So when Tanner Krebs just came to set that screen, but he ghosted out of there, and that gave the ability for Shea Iller to drive on the ring and get Rob Lowe open there.
Rob Lowe shows no fear against the bigger and the longer Zikarsky. Of course, fair gap in the games played for both of these. 9-second differential between shot and game clock. Bateman, he's just struggled to get too far past that original 2 to 3 step penetration there. 10 seconds on the clock for Melbourne to work with here.
He just keeps trying to snake that on ball when he really could just probably get downhill. He's got the advantage, but he's just snaking that on ball, and the defense is able to get back.
Hill, he finds Bowen in the corner, can't get that to fall. And it's a 6-point lead to the Brisbane Bullets, who I believe trailed by just as much.
They did.
In the first quarter. So Alice Kunek, again, it's, you know, with matchups and Ross is going at the moment, it's very hard to read in too much, but your early opinions?
Far too many on ball, too many air balls for my liking. But it is the preseason. We'll give them a little bit of a grievance there. But, you know, I think, you know, both teams need to go in at halftime. They need to settle in. They need to get a bit more focus leading in. I think Melbourne more so than Brisbane. They've got to find a bit more focus on the offensive end. Just control what they can. Play at their tempo, play at their speed. And conversely, on the defensive end, they've got to get stops and then play their game.
You'd say the biggest story for the Brisbane Bullets out of that first half would be, and out of the first game as well, would be Dengadell. If you're trying to mop up the points from Nathan Sobey that he's left on the table with him leaving, you know, you probably want to get a little bit more efficient in that slot. Will Dengadell be that sort of efficiency guy? Will he be more of a volume guy? Will he play this level in the season? It's really hard to tell, but right now you'd probably say the biggest takeaway as a spectator would be Dengadell.
He's been really impressive. You know, he's attacked the rim, he's shot his open shots, and he's actually made really good passes when he's needed to. And that's what's been really impressive for me too, that his ability to attack the rim and then find the open person as well. So the season is long, you know, teams are going to scout, teams change, but I like the intent for the start of the preseason, and hopefully this continues to build his strength, and he does go from strength to strength, because they're missing a lot of points without Nathan Sobey. And that is just the actual fact of this team. But, you know, a full credit to Justin Schuler. I know he believes in this team, he believes in his guys, and I know that he would have put together a roster that can get it done. Well,
Melbourne United membership for the first time in the club's history. Full season memberships have sold out months before the season starting. So the only way to become a Melbourne United member for this season is through our part season memberships. 3 5-game memberships still available. You can get all the benefits of becoming a member, while also getting the flexibility of selecting which games you attend. How good is that? While saving money on walk-up ticket prices. You seem to be flexibility, saving money. It's stuff we don't see from the airlines, but we see from the basketball clubs at the moment. Hurry up to avoid missing out. Go to membership.melbourneunited.com.au. Anyway, we're just going to take a quick break for halftime. We'll be back for the second half next.
The NBL25 membership. Takes up the lower third. You've got to put it like a ever so slightly unnatural amount of and so if you literally just cover it up, if you're going to stand those things and you end up playing
Welcome back to Casey, and it's Melbourne United taking on the Brisbane Bullets. A 6-point lead to the Brisbane Bullets, who certainly turned it around in that second term after Melbourne United had a nice little lead at the end of the first. Some mixed up matchups and, of course, some big name players out for both of these teams, so it's tough to read too much when pushing forward. I'm joined by Alice Kunak, who has been breaking this game down from start to finish, and we've got to be wary. The lineups that we see aren't necessarily the lineups we're going to see during the season. Of course, a lot of younger players. There's still positions, whether it be development player, whether it be roster spots, up for grabs. With that being said, where do you sit?
Got to sit on the fence here. I've got to be Switzerland, don't I? I've
You learn very
really
quickly.
Switzerland, don't I? Look, obviously we see the intent of both teams is really good, and they're getting after it. They're trying to find their teammates, do the extra pass, but the numbers here: 9 turnovers for Melbourne United and 7 for Brisbane. I'm sure they wish they could get those balls back, but the numbers for me in terms of the shooting percentage: United shooting 15% from the three and 25% for Brisbane. So if they could bump those numbers up a little bit more, it'd be a little bit more of an exciting game. But I think if both teams can really just look after the ball, we'll see a bit better the second half.
Certainly will. And for the Brisbane Bullets, the resurgence of Deng Adel, who of course spent some time with the Illawarra Hawks a few seasons ago, and it wasn't too exciting. I believe he had an 0-13 game at one stage there, but across the game, first against the Shanghai Sharks and now against Melbourne United, he has been awfully impressive. And if you're the Brisbane Bullets and you're looking to mop up those points from Nathan Sobey, he's a good place to start with the way he's playing now. We've spoken a little bit about Cook and Bateman, the two imports right now for the Bullets, and we haven't quite seen the best of them so far, but it is early days, and you are a very, very brave person to write players off for the sort of experience that these guys have got around the world and the pedigree that some of these guys have in the early going. Still getting used to the pace of the game, but we would like to see just a little bit more from both.
Yeah, for sure. And, I know what it's like to be an import in another country and to learn, different things. Okay, luckily they know the language here, and Australia is an incredible place to live and to work and play. But, imports come in and it's a cutthroat industry. You've got to come in and you've got to perform. And, luckily in Australia we are a little bit more lenient, maybe more so than the rest of the world. But, I'd like to see more from these imports, and I'm sure they're going to deliver. It's
a short season. You certainly can't leave anything on the table. Smith-Milner from outside was 0-3 before this. Turns out to 0-4.
He is not leaving anything on the table whatsoever.
And you know what? I love it. As a guy who's probably going to have to fight for minutes throughout the season, you come out here and go 5 for 5, bang. You're probably seeing some time at Hoops Fest, seeing some more time at the Blitz, but you've certainly got to get him to go in at some point.
He won't die wondering, that's for sure.
Illy looks to find low up top, can't find it. It's taken off by Cook, so Shula said he's going to make a difference on both ends of the floor. Bateman gets into the paint, can't find too much. Cook will look to work on the matchup. Gets it back out to Bateman, who can't get that one to fall.
Now Cook had that switch. He had Rob Lowe on him there. I think he could have been a little bit more patient. Nice take by Illy. He could have been a little bit more patient, and he could have exploited that mismatch.
Illy's certainly taking a leadership role with the young groups we've seen on the floor as little wraparound passes attempted by Smith-Milner. It gets tipped off. He's taken one in the eye on the way through, and Jack White looks to go from outside. That's the place where he's going to have to find success when you talk about him as a replacement to Luke Travers.
Yeah, Luke Travers, he had the ability to stretch the floor and shoot that three, and that's something that, we'd like to see Jack White have in his game, and I think that will really help this Melbourne United team is if he has the ability to take that three and make that three, or else they close out to him and he gets on the rim and he's got that done.
Certainly for his NBA aspirations as well. Because such is the game these days that anytime you're a power forward, you've got to be able to stroke it from outside if you want to play at that top level.
Yeah, the game's changed so much. The game's not what it used to be, and so many people can knock the three ball and stretch the floor. So that is the evolution of the game, and as players, we have to evolve with it.
White will clean up the Harrison miss.
Great defense by Besto there on Jack White.
Illy, the focal point of the offense right now for Melbourne. And he's going to go to the line for two.
That's what I'd like to see James Bateman do when he comes off that on ball. Just go downhill. Shea Ili doesn't have any question in his mind when he's going off that on ball, and that's something that I think Bateman can really do for this team. Is when he comes off and he sees the defender, he makes that decision really quickly.
Well, it is always tough to try to fit yourself into these lineups and these new offenses, and especially when you've got guys around you that have played within a system for a while. But you're right, we do see Bateman sort of come off the on ball and probe a little bit when, you know, he looks like a guy, we've seen it a couple of times, is capable of just taking 2 dribbles and getting right to the rim.
You know, sometimes you've got to simplify the game. Just read the defense, read what it's giving you, and make your decisions based on that.
6-point lead whittled down to 2. 2 minutes gone in this third term. Harrison.
Great defense by Ili there.
And Melbourne United making a point to just not let him go one-on-one where he had that success in the second term.
That's what we love about Shea Ili. That's what he's going to give you. He's going to give you that defensive grit and intensity. He's going to dive on the ball. He's going to do the little things, and that's what coaches love, and that's why we know that Daniel Vickerman loves him so much.
Well, there's very few players that will dive through a support banner in a preseason game. You just never know what you get with Ili as he takes it right through the rack. The seas parted for Shea Ili. And Justin Schuler's seen enough. 42 apiece, 7:44 to go in the third term.
And that's that Spanish action play. You know, they set the on ball. He slips out. The guard slips out, looking for the 3 ball, and that just opens up. But Brisbane have got to do a better job at defending that.
Well, the tough thing is right now, if you're Justin Schuler, that the Spanish action is a fairly common. You know, it's nothing. It's no crazy play. It's not new. And if you're the Bullets and you're getting beaten on this, we've seen it time and time again. And Melbourne United have been a little rogue with a couple of passes and have probably left some points, you know, on the floor. And they're also doing it with the second, third string. So maybe just some minor worries there on the defensive end for the Bullets. But you know, you throw a guy like Sikorsky and how much better he's going to get throughout the year, and you throw him in under the rim, it's going to make a big, big difference once he just really feels himself out and continues to get better week in, week out. Yeah,
we've seen his shot blocking ability. You know, he's so long. I don't even know what his wingspan is, but I'd hate to know it. But
long.
Very long, off the scale. But his shot blocking ability and the way he can get vertical and his verticality at the rim, that's going to really, you know, trouble teams, a lot of teams in this league. So, you know, if he can stay out of foul trouble, keep that verticality, it's going to be a great thing for the Brisbane Bullets.
Josh Bannon, another player not taking part in this game, along with Isaac White. And Josh Bannon, we forget just how good he can be, is Cook. Lets it fire early in the offense from outside, can't get it to fall, but the errant pass from Harrison to get it back in. Brisbane looks to have just cleaned up the circus a touch.
Hate to say it, but we did see a little bit of that zone.
Bateman gets right into the paint like we said that he could. And that's what the Brisbane Bullets are going to want to see this year from Bateman.
Absolutely. You know, you've got to shift the defender. He shifted him one way, shifted him another. He was able to use his body really well, and he was able to finish strong.
White gets deep into the paint, draws the contact. And he'll be going to the line for an extra. And some people don't need the jump shot if you can get him with that type of force.
The way that he was able to compose his body and take the hit and stay strong and really cup that ball. You saw him cupping that ball when he went up for that, just to protect that ball. And that gave him the edge to then go over his defender and finish strong.
It'll be fun to watch for United fans and fans around the league just to see how much Jack White's developed in those 2 years that he's been overseas, because it's tough because you don't see a lot of playing time over there. Now Jack did play a fair bit within the G League program and did get some runs on the board there, but...
Zone alert, sorry.
Oh no, ban it, throw it out. Throw it out, Melbourne.
I like the mix-up of a zone, but
you've got to practice it somewhere.
You've got to practice it somewhere. And I mean, obviously it's startled Brisbane here. We saw a travel from Bairstow, but you know, I think it's a good thing for teams to junk it up a little bit, but to stay in zone, we don't want it.
Certainly Brisbane not having too much success from the outside. They ended the first half shooting 15% from the three-point line, so it's tough to have success in a modern-day game shooting that type of clip as Kingsley Box gets back into the game along with Foxwell and Campbell Blogg. Rob Lowe just really carrying the torch for the older generation in this lineup.
You know, he's a seasoned vet. He knows the game super well. Like we said, he can stretch the floor.
Harrison, again, not being left to go one-on-one. The bloke just doesn't commit, and again, another nice left-handed bucket for Harrison, who's just always been on the precipice of a breakout year. He's always shown us in glimpses just what he can do. He's a big body, he moves well, but just being able to put an uninjured season together has been the toughest part for him. But God, he's exciting, and he's such a strong big when he's on.
He is, and he's long. He attacks the rim well, and defensively he provides that verticality that Rocco provides as well. They're super long. Call them the Twin Towers, and I hope for this Brisbane lineup that he does have a healthy season, because I'd love to see just how good he can be in this league.
Cameron works his way inside, can't find anything. Foxwell, who's had some success at the rim in the early going. Cameron from the corner gets that one to fly.
That's a great hit by Flynn Cameron, and that came from the drive of Foxwell, who was able to draw the defenders and hit the wide open Cameron. Not wide open, but Cameron to hit that shot with confidence.
1 point lead for Melbourne United. We've seen some preseason thrillers over the years in the NBL, and we look to be staring down the barrel of another tie finish here. Harrison upstairs. Great pass by Dengadal, who continues to just cut and slice with ease into the paint.
I really like the way he was poised off that on ball. He read the defense. He could see that Harrison was flashing to the rim. Made a great pass.
Leah couldn't get the layup to go, and we're conveniently positioned right behind the Brisbane bench, where sometimes if the players get up and about, we can't see too much from this angle, unfortunately. For the viewers wondering why there's a little gap in audio.
I do like the way that Melbourne United is still attacking those offensive rebounds. Early preseason days, you're not making layups that you normally make, but I like the intent to keep attacking that offensive rebound and get little cheapies there.
Cook manages to draw the foul. Here as we look at Dengadal, just take it right through the middle of the paint and sees the defense. Smart move. And a great job from Harrison.
And that's the poise and composure he probably didn't have 2 years ago, or when you played for the Illawarra Hawks. And we're going to need to see that evolution of him to continue over the time in the Brisbane Bullets, and that's something that they're really going to look to utilise.
Bateman gets deep into the paint. The great kick out.
There we go.
Tuadal, who continues to fire, gets that one to fall, doing it from outside this time.
Just simple basketball. Draw the defense and kick open to wide open shooters.
Coppins shakes off the back door. Foxwell takes it into the paint. Good defense from Bateman, and Cook's out the other way. Just decides to use a bit of poise and patience, and as I say that, also uses the shin to navigate that ball out of the court.
The commentator's curse. You see Foxwell coming off down that Spanish action play. I think he could have been a little bit more poised in the way he attacked that on ball. Just read the defense and then, kick out to the open man.
Coppins attacks strong with the right. A little too strong on the Brisbane Bullets. Just starting to create a little distance in what's been a tight game. 47-51, a little under 5 minutes remain.
Now, it's good that these development players are getting a run, but they're really seeing the difference in physicality. You've got seasoned vets and players that play in the NBL, and just that physicality that they bring. And that's something that, as a great shot by Dengadal, that's something as a development player, that's what you've got to develop. You've got to develop that physicality and be able to take those hits in the game.
Coppins can't get that to fall. Kai Savage with a board. An exciting player to watch out of the CEO. Can't get that to fall. Flynn Cameron's out with a great pass. Just a little too hot for Tanner Krebs in transition.
United have got to find that balance. They're getting good stops, but they've just got to look after the ball on the other end. Really just take possession and look after it.
Well, right now they've got to find out a way to stop Dengadal as well, because you're going to come up against plenty of hot guards within this league. Bateman gets that one to fly from outside. Now, he hasn't done it as easy as you'd like at times, but he's starting to find himself a little bit now. It's a 9-point lead for the Brisbane Bullets. 3 minutes 20 to go in this third term. Just as I said, we're staring down the barrel of a tight finish. And it's tough with Melbourne United, of course. 4 major players: Ian Clark, Matthew Dellavedova, Chris Goulding and Marcus Lee not taking part in this pre-season contest. Percy Prather, Isaac White and Josh Bannon, again 3 potential starters for the Brisbane Bullets, also not taking part. So it is, for all intents and purposes, a bit of a battle of the benches at the moment between these two lineups. So the Bullets, a 9-point lead.
I think this is good, though. I think this is where coaches really see who they can rely on. You know, who's going to be that 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th person, and who that they can play. And I think, you know, this is a character building thing for these players. Who's going to step up when they sit on the bench for 25 minutes or 30 minutes a game? Can you give me 2 minutes? Can you hit a shot? Can you get a defensive possession? That's what coaches want to see. They want to see who they can turn to when they need to give their stars a sub.
Who did you pick for the Coach of the Year, by the way? Is it? I think you went with Justin Tatum.
No, I went with John Rillie.
John Rillie?
I went with John Rillie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's an outside of the box one. No, absolutely no disrespect.
I did do an outside of the box one. I absolutely did. And I had Sydney Kings as winners. How about you?
You've got to go with the Kings as winners. It was amazing to have no one take Melbourne United within that sphere as well. Sometimes you just get used to the guys that have been around for a long, long time and you want to go with the new shiny thing. As Bowen turns it down from the outside. Flynn Cameron works on the bigger Zakarsky. Decides to find his teammate Krabs.
I went with the shiny thing in the Sydney Kings. I think Xavier Cooks is going to have a point to prove. You know,
Bateman looks to fire from outside. The heat check gets that to go, just as Alice Kunek was saying that he was having an off game.
You only need to see one go down as a shooter. You know this, Felix.
That's it. Great little wraparound pass from Krabs. Too hot to handle for Alir, and Kai Savage takes it the other way. Dengadal, he's been the hot hand for the Bullets. He's going to have a time to take this one to the free throw line again. The coach killer.
Can we get rid of people fouling on the three-point line? I don't want to see it this year.
Never.
No one wants to see it. Derek Rucker doesn't want to see it. We don't want to see it this season.
As long as we don't see the kick out of the legs called a three-point shooting foul. That's always the ones
in the WNBL
that are annoying.
Also,
and a credit to the refs that have done, well, at least in the NBL, have done a fantastic job at calling those offensive fouls.
Absolutely.
Throughout last season. And Bateman with back-to-back threes previous to this one on the timeout. Certainly didn't do them the easy way. But you do need, you look at Melbourne United right now and who's their guy that will create a shot out of nowhere. Now, it's interesting to say about a team that is so talented top to bottom, but where is that guy that'll, a Derek Walton Jr., a Jalen Adams, a guy that can just say, we need a bucket right now? Is it going to be Dellavedova? Has he been regarded as that? Chris Goulding is more of a lights-out shooter. Ian Clark's another shooter. So it is an interesting mix of a roster. Now, you can probably take the side of the camp saying, well, if your roster's that good 1 through 12, you don't need that type of player. But we saw it in the Olympics. We had a deep roster, and when Paddy Mills wasn't on, who was that guy to take that final shot? It'll be interesting to see how Melbourne United deals with that.
Yeah, you do need that player that sometimes can go a little bit unconscious and just absolutely do all world shots, but they pay off, and we do see that United don't have that, but I like that about them. I like that they have solid guys that know their role and play their role really well, and I think that's what's been successful for them in the past.
Shea Ellie likes the matchup with Dengadal. Adele does a good enough job. And Shea was not happy with the no call, and he's going to be whistled for the tech here. Preseason tech, sometimes you got to do it.
I think he was lucky to not get a travel, but he probably could have just let that one go because that was another air ball. But, the emotions are still high. It is the preseason as well, but, we're all competitors. We're all winners, and we want to win. And we look at Shea Yilly, who's disappointed he didn't get the foul, but that's when you've got to really control your emotions in the preseason and just let that one go and move on to the next play.
Brisbane Bullets just blown this lead out to 15 points. As Bateman's got the hot hand for the Bullets at the moment. Spins around Illy, takes it to the rack, gets it to Zikarsky, who throws it down, and we are starting to see the Brisbane Bullets showcasing what they're capable of.
And Shula would be so happy to see that. That's the point guard that he wanted. That's what he got him for in this team. To be a playmaker, to be a scorer, to be aggressive, and we're starting to see really nice glimpses of that.
Bowen. Back to Illy, who looks like he draws contact, doesn't get the call. And he's going to get whistled for the foul as we see Bateman come right in. How important is it for these guards to be able to get that chemistry with a guy like Zikarsky, who is a get-out-of-jail-free card? He could have thrown that one up in the air, he could have wrapped it around as he did, and you're probably still going to find him.
Oh, definitely. And that, that's Rocco's spot. He gets to the right spot, he's got those good hands, and he's just going to keep getting better week in, week out. If he's got a point guard that can hit him in a pin-perfect pass, it makes it easy for him. But, full credit to Bateman. He attacked the closeout because now they've got to close out to him. He's hit a few shots. Now they've got to respect him as a shooter. Now he gets on the rim. People move around him. And if they get into the great positions to get those dunks.
Well, as you said, sometimes you just need to see one go through the net. Unfortunately, that's not at the free throw line right now for Bateman, who's missed his last couple.
Melbourne United on the other end are a little bit out of sorts. They've got to really compose themselves, and this is where they don't have that player who can really take over the game. And obviously, their roster is looking really different right now. A lot of big names are out. But that's where someone who wants to, take that next step in their career needs to step up and say, hey, I want to be that guy to steady the ship, attack the rim, be a scoring threat for this team. 'Cause it's nearly about to be a 20-point game.
Bateman again just snakes around the on-ball, as we saw him do a little bit earlier in the game. Zikarsky takes it baseline, can't get it to go. Again, looks to have drawn a little contact on the way through. And Rocco just had a little bit of trouble in the spots where he is, attacking from high up on the perimeter, stuff like that. You'd almost like to see him just get that on a little bit more of the mid-block than, a step inside the three-point line.
Yeah, he's probably not at that stage of his career and his development where he's going to be dribbling because he is so tall. His dribble is higher. And that's just so easy for little small guards to just tip the ball in. I'd like to see him kick that ball out, get a better position, get better, show his hands to his teammates, and then he's just got that easy put up to the rim.
The best thing about watching these young guys, especially the next star guys, and we saw it with LaMelo, we saw it with Josh Giddey, there just comes one game, whether it be halfway through the season, maybe a little earlier, maybe a little later, where they just turn into a completely different player. It's, when LaMelo Ball got his first triple-double, when Josh Giddey started going, at one point in the season, he almost averaged a triple-double from there on out. It's just, there's just that one game, and where's it going to be for Rocco Zikarsky?
Look, I hope it's this season. I hope that he really takes that next step, and I'm sure everyone at Brisbane are hoping for that. It's a great pass. But that's the evolution of him, as a player and his growth and his development. And sometimes as a player, you do need to do the little things first. And if he can master those little things, the next step's going to be easier and easier.
Tom Wilson into the game for United. Tanner Krebs hit one from earlier. Fading out to the corner. Can't get that one to fall. Flynn Cameron will come up with the rebound. Working again. Melbourne United have just struggled a little bit with those interior passes.
I think they've just got to read the defense a little bit better. All of Brisbane were literally in the key just then. So, the helps come. You've got to kick it out to your open shooters because if everyone's in the key, someone's got to be open.
Savage just works the pressure to his advantage and draws the foul on Wilson. He's going to go to the line. 39 seconds left. A 19-point lead to the Brisbane Bullets.
I didn't expect this.
Certainly didn't. You certainly didn't predict it. You were staunch Melbourne United. You were giving Bateman a whack. It was, my God, how this has turned on your head, Alice Koenig.
You've got to be controversial in this life, don't you?
No, but look, it's preseason. The maths doesn't work out in the preseason. That's just how it works, and it's always a very, very tough one to predict. But it is good for the Brisbane Bullets to see them get a bit of early confidence here, as Flynn Cameron works his way into the paint, can't get it to fall. I will add that I did tip Brisbane with very, very little confidence in this as Krebs gets a steal. Euro steps his way down, gets whistled. And one. And can Melbourne United either save face or fight back into this game? 19 points with 19 seconds remaining in the third. Still plenty of time. We've seen how quickly modern-day leads can be evaporated. It felt like only 6-7 years ago where if you had a 20-point lead in a basketball game, you're as good as home.
You may as well walk
and
out,
now
honestly.
It's, you know, with how intense the three-point shooting has gotten. And Rob Lowe, just a veteran presence, pulls up the rebound, can't get it to go. 16 seconds remain. Savage.
We see Melbourne United really picking up that pressure, that defensive intensity, and that's something that we really need to see from them. You know.
Savage straight into the lane, can't get it to fall. And Brisbane will not have a time to get that final shot up. 49-68. 19-point lead for the Brisbane Bullets, who many tipped to have a tough season. Well, what we're seeing from the moment is that Deng Adel is quite happy to fill the shoes of Nathan Sobey. Now, that is a very, very early statement. I don't quite think he's going to be at the level to Nathan Sobey throughout the year, but they were in desperate need, and I think the reason why a lot of people tipped them to struggle was because they probably didn't have that guy on their roster who could fill those shoes. But if they can do it via committee with Deng Adel, Isaac White, Bateman looks like he's providing a little bit late in this game, then they can hopefully have a little bit more success than what was predicted.
Absolutely, and you know, Nathan Sobey is an incredible player, incredible scorer, and we saw towards the back end of the season his ability to, you know, be aggressive but also find his teammates, and I love that evolution from him. And you know, it's going to take a committee for this Brisbane Bullets team, but maybe I was a little bit too harsh on them at the start of the game. But you know, I do have a lot of respect for Justin Chula. I love the way that his teams play for him. I love his enthusiasm for his team and his belief and the self-belief that he has in his team, and you can just see that they play for one another. And you know, I don't think we can write this team off just so early this season. It is a long season, I will say that, and you need a little bit of luck to go your way in basketball sometimes, but you know, that looks like they are putting together the pieces to be a solid team in this league, and I'm sure they want to go one step further from last season and make that finals. I
would caution anyone that just looks this roster top to bottom and thinks, oh, you know what, maybe it's maybe one of the weaker rosters, purely just through an output standard, that Justin Chula is a very, very good coach. And you know, we saw it in spurts last year. They were just getting used to his style, and he does run, you know, he's a very tactical coach, and for guys like that, you've always got to give them a bit of time for their playing groups to get used to them, and I do think we're seeing a bit of that now. The ball movement at times for Brisbane has been really impressive. I think once these guys can sort of work around Rocco, they can work around Tyrell Harrison, and the good thing as well is if you do run that style where you're going to have Harrison and Rocco cleaning up and attacking the rim every time, you don't lose much when either one's out. It's not like we got one short, stocky centre and we've got one long, rangy centre. You've got two guys with sort of similar body types. Of course, Rocco just a little bit taller and longer than Harrison, but Harrison with a bit of age on that as well. They're going to bring similar strengths.
Absolutely. You know, I think Harrison's going to be great for Rocco, you know, training against him every single day. It's really going to help his development and help that physicality. And you know, Harrison hasn't made it there easy to where he is. You know, he's had a lot of injuries and he's struggled with that. But I think he can really guide and really mentor, you know, probably what we thought Baines might do last year. But, you know, he can really guide and he can mentor Rocco to take that next step and go to the next level as a player. And we know that everyone in Australian basketball is excited for that and ready for that.
It is. Foxwell gets things underway here in the fourth quarter. A lot of work to do for Melbourne United. A 19-point lead to the Brisbane Bullets, who trail by 6 at the end of the first. Krebs works his way into the paint.
I like that composure from Krebs. He came off the stagger screen and came into an on-ball. He was composed. He read the defense. And that's a great evolution of him as a player. You know, normally he's a three-point shooter, but he's added some more strings to his bow in the offseason.
That's the thing. You can go two ways as a young guy in this league. Do you become a spot-up shooter and a role player, or do you still work to be that go-to guy? And as Harrison is that go-to guy right now down on the block for the Brisbane Bullets. But you can see Krebs doesn't make a concerted effort to attack the rim, to get to that mid-range pull-up and not just fall into being the kid that shoots the three.
For sure, and you know, I questioned that last year if he was just going to be that player, and you know, full credit to him. He's obviously worked hard in the off-season. He stayed in Melbourne, played for Sabres and Sandringham, and I think that's really been a good testament to him, to sticking with the work.
And Cook's got all the way into the paint, only to be blocked as Campbell Blogg goes up. Good strong finish. Bateman getting pressured in the backcourt. Smith-Milner. Bateman finds an opening and really likes to stop on a dime. Can't get that to drop, but that appears to be his modus operandi, is snaking the on-ball screen, stopping on a dime just outside the keyway as he cops a hit there on the way through from Campbell Blogg. Of course, in the era of CTE and head knocks, you've got to be very, very careful when these happen, especially in the season. You know, we've seen with Shea Illy so many unfortunate, just innocuous hits, and you're out for 3-4 weeks once you've had a few of them.
Absolutely, players need to be really careful, and what we do to our bodies, we don't even think, we're unconscious when we're thinking. We just think we're going to play forever, and our bodies are superhero bodies, but we have to look after ourselves, and I'm glad that Bateman is okay, and we'll hopefully see him back out on the floor.
Krebs from deep. Can't get that one to drop. And Cook, only the 3 points so far on the night. Great defense there from Foxwell, a wraparound steal. Finds Blogg on the outside. Can't get it to fall, and Savage will take it the other way.
I love the intent from Jack White.
And Harrison, too easy. No help defense is a recipe for disaster there, with a great steal and a great pass by Savage.
That can be the thing, that when you are playing really quickly and you are trying to make back points, you can shoot really quick shots, and great play just there by Foxwell, but you can shoot the ball really quickly and then you actually give up points on the other end. So when you're coming back into a game and you're trying to get points quickly, you've really got to find that balance between shooting the ball really quickly or else giving up defensive transition.
Foxwell goes upstairs to Nicholas Tata. He's an interesting prospect when you just look on pure size.
He's got size, he's tall, he's got good hands.
He's a big boy, and Melbourne United just eating into this lead a touch, but going to have to do it at a much quicker rate if they want to be walking out of here with their preseason win in their first official preseason game. The Brisbane Bullets getting the win over the Shanghai Sharks a couple of nights ago, and of course the Blitz coming up, and then it's straight into Hoops Fest in WA.
Wow.
Bang!
Now, we have been critical of the Brisbane Bullets in losing Nathan Sobey and who's going to fill that role, and conversely, Melbourne United, they've lost JLA and Hakordi. Do you think Marcus Lee can fill that role for them? Do you think that the side pieces act as a better support and Marcus Lee just has to slot in?
It's going to be interesting because he's going to help on the defensive end. Look, he's a good defensive guard, but a good defensive big, but he's not quite going to. And maybe that's good for Melbourne United, that he's not going to be a guy that requires touches on the low block, because sometimes there was too many cooks in the kitchen. As Melbourne United just pressured in the corner there. Foxwell comes up with it. Campbell Blogg, the young fella's just getting to ride this game out. Krebs, a veteran presence, if you can say that much, along with Jack White. But he's going to be good defensively. But again, maybe that is the guy that you need, someone who doesn't need to gobble it up on the block, because you've got enough guys that are willing to take shots, and if you're moving it through and you've got another mouth to feed, sometimes it can be problematic.
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe addition by subtraction. Foxwell's done a great job of getting deep into the paint. Neither team has really been able to find too much success on the outside, but it is the preseason.
I love that he's been fearless, though. He's attacked, he's looked at the defense, he's read the defense, he's attacked, he's threaded the needle, and he's found open players, and that's what you want as a point guard.
Krebs found on the inbound. Nice little wraparound up and under.
Krebs is just coming off those screens with full intensity, with full intent. If he comes off and he's free, he's going to shoot it. If not, he's going to turn the corner. His defense is trailing him, and he's going to get on the rim.
Melbourne United just starting to swing the smallest scent of momentum back. A 15-point lead for the Brisbane Bullets, and Cook says, I may have only 3 points, but there's another 3 right now.
He needed that to go down, that's for sure. That's a great look by him.
Foxwell with a nice little dribble back. Tata can't wrestle it off Harrison. And Cook, you'd be wanting him to just find the buck a little bit. Takes it upstairs, gets it emphatically blocked by Jack White. Harrison's there to clean it up. And that's what Jack White can bring you. We've seen so many of those highlight blocks over the years. Foxwell finds White on the outside. Looks to just be a little bit uncomfortable with his back right now, Jack White. He's calling for a sub to get out of the game. Just looked like Adele, a smart foul there by Campbell Blogg to help his teammate out, but you just maybe see a replay of that final possession just to see whether it was something on the play. It didn't look too bad. As Cook just stems the bleeding a touch there as Melbourne United started to approach and pushes this one back out to a 20-point game.
And that's a coach killer when you're trying to get back in the game. You know, you play really good defense and then, you know, Cook hits a great shot, but that is just, you know, it's a 20-point game once again. Savage
of the Kai variety finds Bairstow down low with a great pass. And Deng Adel, he's got 24 on the night. He'll stay at that.
Both teams looking to run that Spanish action play, and I like that they're going to that, but, you know, they're now starting to defend it a little bit better, which is good to see.
Foxwell again, he's been the focal point of this offense with another great take. And Foxwell is endearing himself to the coaching staff and the Melbourne United fans that are present tonight.
I love the way he's playing. He's playing with courage, no fear. He's attacking the rim. He's finding his teammates. You know, as a player, that's the type of point guard you want to play with. Someone who's courageous and gets on the rim. And he's playing tough defense as well.
And Cook just Euro stepping into the paint, draws the foul there.
We've lost the contact.
And he's lost either a contact or an eyeball. That's just a great finish over an athletic defender from the young Foxwell. Of course, Foxwell varieties all over the Melbourne teams.
They're everywhere
at the moment.
He's got that contact back in. Hopefully he can knock down these 2 free throws and make it a 20-point game again.
Man, it's just something I'm happy that I never have to deal with, is the contacts, because
yeah, you and me both.
I don't like anything touching my eye. I don't even like eye drops. Let alone a piece of silicon. Is that what it's made out of, silicon?
I think so. I don't have contacts, and thank God I don't. But
small piece of plastic that's sitting there in my eye.
I can't imagine it being too comfortable, especially when you're playing basketball.
No. LASIK. Is that what it is? Did LASIK get rid of them?
Oh, yeah, laser eye surgery.
That's the one.
Yeah, laser eye surgery.
That's the one. Well, maybe there we go. Cool. Maybe down that path. As he comes out of the game. Not the night that he would have wanted here, but luckily we've got the blitz and plenty more preseason action coming up to be able to find your stroke and just find yourself within this lineup.
And you know, sometimes as a new player coming into a new team, you know, maybe the offense doesn't completely suit what you're used to, and you've got to find your way in that offense and find what really works for you. But I'm sure he'll figure it out. He's obviously a great player, and like we said, Shula believes in him.
Foxwell making great decisions every time he gets into the paint. And he's rewarded with the assist there as Kyle Bowen just catapults one in, medieval style, with that jump shot. It's an unbelievable, he shoots at a good clip.
It's very unorthodox.
It's very unorthodox, and I hate to harp on about it all the time, but it's just something you don't really see. Savage with a nice little move getting into the paint. We're starting to see some little glimpses of him being another guy that can be able to run up the scoreboard. Foxwell again makes a good decision, getting in the paint, back out to Bowen. Cameron and Bowen with the mismatch down low. He says it good out to Machar, who gets that one to fall. And is it too little too late, or do we dare to dream, Alice Kunik? The crowd's getting involved, 65-79. You do the maths. I think it's 14 points.
I think you could be right there, Felix. Look, it's great to see this crowd getting involved. You know, it's a Tuesday night basketball. What great way to have a packed-out crowd at Casey Basketball Stadium.
Great pass by Rocco to Savage, cutting baseline.
I will say this next generation of ballers, they are fearless.
Oh,
they
they're better than I was.
Oh, my gosh. You and me both.
Great pass by Foxwell, and the even better block by Zakarsky at the rim. And he's got great timing as well. And you talk about wanting to stay out of foul trouble. His block timing really, really helps in that. He doesn't just think, you know, use his body. He understands. I've got the length. I don't need to use the body here. Just let the arms do the work.
And that's something you can't really teach. You know, you either have it or you don't. And it's great that...
Well, there is limb lengthening surgery these days.
Have you inquired?
No, I've required about potentially a hair transplant, but not a limb lengthening. Maybe that'll be next on the menu.
You've got great hair.
Well, we'll see how many years that lasts for. Zakarski up top. Gets it slapped away by Wilson, and Melbourne United out the other way. Wilson back to Aliir and gets that one to fall.
He's provided some great minutes off the bench for Melbourne United. He's long.
Is he going to take that roster spot? You know, that's probably, when you look at right now, the guys who can make an immediate impact in the NBL, Aliir's definitely a guy who you throw his name out there.
Definitely. He's been really promising this game. And like we said, he's long, he's young, he's aggressive, he shoots the ball well. Another great pass to Rocco. If Rocco can just get himself into the correct positions and he can really be strong with the ball, it's going to go, you know, miles for this Brisbane team. If he can just get himself into the right spots, let the guards do all the work, throw it up, dish it off to him, it'll really help his confidence and his game.
Sky is the limit for Rocco, quite literally and figuratively. It's always just amazing to see these guys just dunk so effortlessly.
Did he even have to jump?
It's remarkable to watch, and you look at, you only imagine what it's like to stand next to Victor Wembanyama and guys like this. But look, Melbourne United still trying to win this game. 3 minutes 12 remaining, 67-83. We have seen crazier things than that. But the Brisbane Bullets, for the most part, look, they've come up undermanned themselves with Casey Prather, probably the biggest exclusion out of this roster at the moment, along with Josh Bannon, who is another guy that, you know, we've mentioned multiple times, will take a big leap this year. How bad is that wrist injury? We can't really get too much out. It's tough when you walk up with a headset in your hand asking about an injury. It's a little harder to get too much information out of teams. But
he's not going to tell you much.
No. No.
Yeah, look, Casey Prather's a big one for me. You know, he stayed here in the off season to get his knee right. He's had a newborn. You know, will we see the Casey Prather of old? Maybe yes, maybe no. I'm sure Brisbane are hoping for that, but maybe we don't need to see the Casey Prather of old. Maybe we just need to see that, you know, 10 to 15 points per game, you know, some games more, some games a little bit less, be that little bit of a facilitator, steady the ship when they need to steady the ship. But, you know, if we can see a healthy Casey Prather, I'm sure we're all going to be super excited.
It's just such an unknown, isn't it?
Exactly.
You know, he was such a good player, and he still is. Like, don't get me wrong, we hold Casey Prather to such a high level. Yeah. And that's the thing, but he's a great guy for this league. I was lucky enough to spend a year with him at Melbourne United. He's loved by his teammates. He's a great guy to have around the club. He's a funny dude. And I think just having that around a team that, you know, does have a fair few young players on the roster is incredibly valuable.
Absolutely, you know, players can learn by him. He's obviously got a great work ethic, and I think that's what he can really bring to this team as well.
Wilson gets it out to Bowen. We're going to go 2 for 2 in as many attempts. And it ain't pretty. I'll say it now, it ain't pretty. It ain't. If you're a basketball purist, clean the vomit off your top, but it's going in. I don't care how you do it, it's going in. And Kyle Bowen can shoot the ball.
He can shoot the ball, and I think, you know, this season, having him, you know, step out and shoot the ball is really going to probably, you know, take a less impact of not having Luke Travers, who could shoot the ball as well. So, and
he's a beneficiary of losing a guy like Travers, because some of the things that Jack White lacks, Kyle can be called upon to come and bring that.
Definitely, you know, he's a great defender. He is long as well. He can get on the rim too, and if he can continuously shoot that ball, I think that he's going to play a lot more minutes than he thinks he is.
Bateman gets into the paint. Nice little finish.
You know, I love seeing the way he's now reading the defense in the on-ball. He hasn't just gone to that snake dribble. He's seen the defense, he's read it, he's made really good decisions out of that.
Aliir. Krebs gets it in, kicks it back out to Aliir, who made a living at Mount Gambier doing just that.
That's a great play by Krebs. He drew 2 defenders and kicked it to the wide open guy in Aliir.
Bateman, he loves to just sit there and work, doesn't he? And if he gets hot, as we've seen a couple of times, maybe he will bring a bit of that Nathan Sobey-esque scoring runs.
We haven't seen Mitch Norton back into the game. I think maybe that ankle injury is probably just hindered him, but we hope he's okay and hopefully see him at the Blitz and playing. He does have his shoe off. He's definitely not coming back.
It never helps. But you know what? It's
hopefully he's right.
Incredible. So Lear gets into the paint. Can't get the call. Good defense by Zakarski.
That's a brave take.
And Cook just tries to hit Josh Coonan, who wasn't looking, and Melbourne United are out in transition here. Tommy Wilson gets deep in. Lear back out to Krebs. Turns down the three, gets it into the paint. It's always going to be a tough task finishing on that length of Rocco.
That's a great take by him. He's a shooter, so Rocco had to close out. He was able to attack that top foot. Just missed the finish, but it was a great take.
And Cook can't get that one to drop. Every shot that can go down for Cook is going to be beneficial to the Bullets right now from a confidence perspective. Can't get that one to fall either. Just doesn't seem to be putting too much pressure on the rim. Cook, but again, he is a guy that impacts both ends of the floor. So he's certainly not a one-trick pony.
For sure, and you know, sometimes when you're not shooting the ball so well, sometimes it's just about doing the simple things, creating for others, and you know, we do know he's a good shooter. He's a great shooter, he's a proven shooter, and obviously wouldn't be here if he wasn't. But maybe it's just about, like, you know, what can you do for your teammates? How can you make your team better right now? If I'm not shooting the ball, how can I make others better?
It's astounding, and basketball is guilty of it more so than many sports, but mainly because we deal in imports and we get guys from overseas that can come and go. But the roller coaster of hype. If Cook comes out and has 30 tomorrow, he's an all-NBL first-team contender. That's just how it works as Rocco cleans up the savage miss.
The power of the media.
It's the power. It's just it's the talking points, and it's where there's a lot of recency bias, and you know we're singing the praises of Bateman in the second half when we were saying he was struggling in the first. That's just the nature of it. But it is a tough life for these imports. And, you know, you played the role overseas.
Yeah. It is, but, you know, we're super fortunate to do what we do, to play basketball all around the world. And I'm sure this is an incredible experience for them. Australia is a great place to play. We've got a great league and a great product in the NBL and the WNBL, and you know, next year they'll be, you know, joined together. But, you know, it is a tough league. It can be a bit cutthroat, but not everyone gets to do it.
You know, I took the strategy of never making myself good enough to be required by an overseas team. So I never had to experience the stresses of doing that. I sort of kept myself at a real low level.
Yeah, but look, we get your services here.
Yeah.
We get them here, and we're just blessed to hear this day in, day out. And I know everyone's excited for the NBL season.
It is. We can't wait. Remember the NBL Blitz up on the Gold Coast if you want to see some sun up there. And, of course, Hoops Fest. Tickets still available to see every team in action as Tom Wilson gets that to go from the outside. We've seen that plenty of times for the Melbourne Tigers in the NBL 1 season.
Tom Wilson was able to get over. It was a double drag screen. He came off. He was confident, shot the ball with confidence, and that's things we love to see.
Savage just working his way through. Gets up there for the and one.
That is a tough finish.
An exciting little prospect is Kai Savage. Of course, a 3-year deal. And you look at the roster, this Brisbane roster, I'll tell you what, from what I've seen here, and I'm not reading into the result, I think United clearly underserviced, understaffed with what we've seen here. They're virtual whole starting five, not taking part in this game. But I think Brisbane are going to be able to mop up the points from Nathan Sobey through various guys. They're going to do it by committee. You know, still some unknown with the import duo. What are we going to get from them? But from a local contingent, as Rocco just a little too tall for his own good there with the goaltending call. But from the local committee, I like what we've seen from the 2 games with the Shanghai Sharks and, of course, now against Melbourne. Isaac White, of course, to come in here. I think they're going to be able to get enough points. That's not my worry anymore.
And that's a full credit to Justin Schuller as a coach. He believes in what he means. He believes in his players. He wants them to do well. He wants them to succeed. And you can tell they just love playing for him. And that's when you get the best results.
He is. And look, he's a player's coach, Justin Schuller. He's respected by the team. He's going to give you plenty of chances as well. You're not playing scared out there as Tom Wilson. Can't get that to go. And that'll round it out. A 15-point win for the Brisbane Bullets over Melbourne United. They say you can't read into the preseason too much. With the Brisbane Bullets, impressive. The local contingent, impressive. Still with plenty of players to come into this roster. The same said for Melbourne United. But Alice, your final thoughts?
Look, I thought Brisbane were really impressive. You know, obviously it is an undersized Melbourne United team. I'm sure if they could have that game back again, they could. But sometimes our biggest wins come from our biggest losses, and I'm sure that they're going to use that.
Profound. Mahatma Gandhi or Alice Kunik? Who are we talking to?
I'll take credit for that one. But, you know, I think that's sometimes it's a good thing for these things to happen at the start of the season. They can go back to the drawing board, what worked, what didn't work, how do we improve as a team, how do we get better. But, you know, full credit to the Brisbane Bullets. They came out hungry, they came out firing, they played together as a team, they attacked the ball, they played great defense. So, you know, I think we're going to see a lot more from this Brisbane team, and I'm excited to watch them.
It's going to be exciting. There is still plenty of NBL preseason action coming up as well. Remember the NBL Blitz. We've got Hoops Fest, which is going to be the start of something really special. And now this is something, when it first came out, I will admit I was a little skeptical. When it first came out, I thought all the way over in WA. That's a long way away. You know, people are going to travel for it. But the fact that they have coupled this thing with the WNBL, with the National Championship, there's a sneaker fest going on. This is the beginning of our sort of gather round, and I think it's going to be really successful. I'm really looking forward to it. You get all that hoops in one action. It's going to be special. But anyway, the Brisbane Bullets, the winner of this one, they go to 2-0 on the preseason. Are they going to go undefeated the entire year, Alice?
Oh, whoa. Take your breath, Felix.
Is that called getting too carried away? Maybe it is.
Absolutely.
A good showing. Melbourne United, of course, undermanned. The young fellas did a good job as well. Alice Kunak, thank you very much. We'll be hearing plenty of you throughout the NBL season, which will be fantastic. Thank you for tuning in. Signing out from Casey.